Fish on. Let's go. Let's go.
What's up, guys? Today we are going to the closest pond to my house. It's a little park. It's part of the Summit County Metro Park system. It's called Alder Pond. There's not huge bass in here because as of a couple years ago there weren't any, and they just stocked it up about 2 years ago with bass. Before that it was just bluegill, and a long time ago, back in like the 60s and 70s, maybe going into the 80s, they actually only allowed it to be a 16 years old and under fishing spot. And way back in like the 50s and 60s, they only allowed those 16 years old and under to use cane poles to fish for bluegill. They took off that regulation back probably around 2000, between 1990 and 2000, but they still only had bluegill in the pond. But anybody could fish it, and then now, as of about 2 years ago, like I said, they stocked it up with bass. The bass are pretty small. Normally I can come out here and catch anywhere from 3/4 pound to about 2 pound. At the very most, 2 pounds probably, or close to 2 pounds is probably the biggest one that I've ever caught out here. But we're gonna see if we can get one. I can't get skunked again. It's really starting to get me down. I understand it's been hot. I understand the fish are really finicky and really, it's a really hard bite, but at the same time, that's usually what I excel at, is really getting this fish to bite in no bite time. So we're gonna see what we can do, and I'll be back.
So, the pond itself, I don't know how much you guys can see, but it's hit or miss as far as the amount of algae out here. Sometimes it's all the way up to shore, super dense, almost like a shag carpet from the 70s, and dried out because of the heat. Sometimes it's a little more open. Today, it's open. There is some algae close to shore. It's still a little slimy up top, but top water has never worked well out here for me. Even in the densest algae, it's just, I don't know if the fish just aren't used to feeding on something on top of the water, or if they're not big enough for a frog. I don't know. But I've tried a lot of different top water. Obviously treble hooks aren't going to work too well because of the algae, but frogs seem like they would work good. They just never do. So when I come out here, I normally just Texas rig up a crawl, a brush hog, or a Senko. The most luck I've had with crawls and brush hogs, but lately I've been trying the Senko just to see, and the last couple times I've been out here, it's actually fared fairly well for me with using a Senko. So that's what I'm going to start with today. We had some rain yesterday, and right now it's about 79 degrees, super high humidity, and it's supposed to get up right around 88 later, again with just massive amounts of humidity. So we'll see how that fares, and it should be okay. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I feel some bluegill or something hitting it. Oh, fish on. Let's go. Let's go. Look at that, guys. First fish in 4 days. Come on, buddy. Hey. Yeah, that hook was not coming out of him. Jeez. There we go. Look at that, guys. It's not the biggest fish in the world, but it's a fish. Let's let that guy go. Yeah. I'm glad I came out here today. That's great. That was first cast. I like that. See if we can get a couple more. That'll make for some good retribution here. Ah, bass thumb. Loving it. Haven't had that in a while. Oh, that bird just caught a frog. That's nuts. He just went right out there and caught himself a frog. Fish on. Let's go. Guys, I've been out here for about a half hour. This guy's fighting hard. Look at that. That's actually a nice bass. Come on, guy. Quit spinning my line. Oh, he swallowed it. You can kind of go up by the gill plate, grab your hook, just twist it that way. They bleed quite a bit when this happens, and that's not a good thing, but alright, guy, we'll get you back in the water real quick. Hopefully you can heal up. Whoa, that was slippery. Who you, buddy? He was bleeding really good up in there, and I'm hoping he heals up from that, because whenever a fish takes a hook right down their throat, one, it has the ability to clip their gills, which all the blood in their body is running through, because it's the equivalent of their lungs. The way your lungs work is there's these little sacs that blood flows through, and it picks up your blood picks up the oxygen, drops off the carbon dioxide, it goes through your body, and it's almost like a big filter. And fish's gills are the same way. The blood goes through their body, deposits oxygen everywhere, but then it trades off with carbon dioxide. Then when it gets to those gills, what it ends up doing is putting carbon dioxide through the gills, sucking in oxygen from the gills, and then the carbon dioxide just leaves their body. There's a fish. Yes! Guys, that's 3 and 45 minutes. It's another little guy. The second one wasn't super little. It's actually a decent sized fish, but this guy, getting water in my eye. Alright, that dinger's about done. These gripper teeth are sharp today, which means there's feeding on the bluegill in here. Jeez. Take a quick shot for Instagram and let this guy go. If you're causing a fish to bleed, they can cause you to bleed, right? Look at that. Those are some sharp, sharp gripper teeth. That's nuts. That hasn't happened to me too many times, but that's insane, guys. Alright, so I made it home. I went to my friend's birthday party.
and I will actually have the video of us all singing happy birthday to him with his cake and candles. It's a little rambunctious as far as a video clip goes, but it's fun. You know, it was just all of us hanging out and having a good time at his birthday. So it was a nice family event, and it was good. So I'll have that actually right now.
Shit, I wasn't recording.
Did you hold on?
1, 2, 3. No, I got it. I got it, Dad. Blow the candles out, though.
Today was pretty eventful on the fishing front. I finally actually caught some fish for you guys on camera. It felt really, really nice to break that dry spell that I was on. Most of them weren't very good size. Most of them were pretty small. The last two that I caught that actually were not on camera, the very last one was the biggest fish I ever caught and ever saw at that pond. And I didn't even think bass that size existed in that pond. It weighed out, I weighed it, it was 2.75 pounds, so 2 3/4. Like I said at the beginning of the video, normally I'll catch anywhere from 3/4 pound to right around 2 pounds at the very most. So a 2 3/4 pounder out of that pond was fantastic. I would have had it on camera, but I was stupid, and a couple days ago when I charged my camera, I left it plugged in just to charge overnight, and my computer went into sleep mode, and it didn't allow my camera to keep charging. So it was only about a half charge when I actually got out to the park. The last two fish just swallowed the hook, and the very last fish, like I said earlier in the video about fish swallowing a hook and it potentially going through their gullet into their gills, that actually happened to the last fish, and it was a race against time to get that hook out and get that fish back in the water. There was a lot of blood. The fish was, it stopped really moving. It stopped fighting back at all when I was holding it and trying to get that hook dislodged out of its gullet, and he actually bit my thumb. I have that picture on Instagram. He had very, very sharp gripper teeth. Not quite as sharp as the one earlier, but he did have very sharp gripper teeth, and what ended up happening was when he bit, it actually dug into my nail a little bit and scraped across my nail, almost like a good sharp hook would, how it catches your nail and kind of digs into it a little bit. That's what his gripper teeth were doing to my thumbnail, and he caught the skin right above the cuticle there, and it actually drew blood. Not a ton. I mean, it didn't really hurt, but it was still the fact that he bit me and he drew blood in order to get away, and that's, it showed me that he was healthy enough to actually do that, or she. I'm assuming for that pond that was actually a pretty large female, but it showed me that the fish had enough energy to be able to survive, and I really hope that fish heals up. Yeah, that's it, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.